Straight ahead, he said. We're in.
One of these handsets in a moment or two as you go through this way. On board the yacht today, you're following a series of numbered discs similar to these 1 to 28, and these are points of interest throughout your trip. So start.
No, she's not that big. She's not. There's the front deck there, and there's the rest of it. I'm providing my own music now for the video. Just have a wee sit down there, darling. Yes, the royal bottom is now sat on the seat. Lovely. Lovely. Oh yes, when it was less windy you would have sat here, had your aperitifs. This is not a tea room. Want a cup of tea? Yeah. I'll have a coffee. This left.
Putting on the go?
No, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, we're going to take it back.
We're going to take it back,
Yeah.
that's fine.
You take a chocolate orange as well.
One of the chocolate orange. You want to try it?
This is the nothing shop.
Chocolate orange? Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
went with the Royal Yacht Britannia. Really?
Just the shop.
Just the shop? All right. Thank you, Andre. Thank you for visiting. Did you enjoy that, Andre? Do I bring you to good places?
You do.
All the time? Me too. Where are we going now?
On to our next stop.
Alright. Very patriotic in here. There's the castle in front of you. Keep going. Okay.
Τις φορές θα με πας.
You're going on a guided tour. Where are you today, Andre?
Edinburgh
Whereabouts?
Castle.
Castle. And what are you going to do up here?
Going on the guided tour.
Excellent. The tour leaves in a couple of months. So I wonder how long a tour takes. I don't know. There's a lot of steps to go up there. Look, bird lines. This is a huge castle complex. We'll walk it.
Right, well, we'll just get started. If you'd like to come in a little bit closer, we'll just take a start. First of all, on behalf of Historic Environment Scotland and myself, of course, I'd like to give you all a very warm welcome to Edinburgh Castle. My name's Ronnie, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'll be taking you on a walk to the top of the castle. On the way, we'll stop at key points, and hopefully the information I give you will help you to get the most out of your visit here today. Now, this is an outdoor tour, but I don't think we need to worry too much about the weather, and you'll get plenty of opportunities to visit the interiors of all the different buildings in your own time when the tour ends. About the castle, and first of all, the rock that the castle sits on, which is actually volcanic rock that was formed 350 million years ago. And during excavations here in the 1970s, evidence was found to suggest that people have been living on this rock for over 3,000 years, going right back to the Bronze Age. By about the 1st and 2nd centuries here, there would have been an Iron Age hill fort, and the occupants of this fort would have traded happily with a Roman presence. Now, this is quite strange in itself. Usually where there's Romans, there's conflict. However, I believe that the Romans had a lot of difficulty controlling people up here, so I think both sides just entered into an agreement just to get on with each other and make the best of life. By the time we get to the turn of the 14th century, we'll have a completely different scenario, because during this period of the wars of independence between England and Scotland, and during this period, Edinburgh Castle and the city changes hands many times between Scottish and English forces. Now, up here we're about 400 feet above sea level, perched on top of this steep piece of rock, so that puts the castle in an excellent defensive position. And throughout its history, Edinburgh Castle has never been taken by force or by storm. The only time this castle has been captured is after a siege situation. There's been many sieges here at Edinburgh Castle over the centuries, over 20 major sieges in fact, and the destruction caused by some of these sieges has left an interesting mix of buildings and architecture dating right back to the 12th century. Now, because of these defensive qualities, it's no surprise that Scottish kings and queens would want to be based here. So from around the 11th century right through to the 17th, Edinburgh Castle becomes a royal stronghold where Scottish kings and queens would have felt safe and protected. the last time a king spent the night in Edinburgh Castle, we'll have to go back to the year 1633, when King Charles I spent the evening here on the eve of his Scottish coronation. However, when this royal period ends, the castle takes on a purely military role. It eventually becomes a prison. Even though it's been about 100 years since regiments were permanently based here, Edinburgh Castle is still classed as a military base. We still have a working barracks here, and regiments from around the country will visit this barracks to carry out ceremonial duties or to come here for training. And this barracks is also the home and the headquarters of the Royal Regiment of Scotland. The house that we passed on our way up, this used to be the castle governor's house, and he would be the man in charge of all things to do with military matters here at the castle. However, it's now just a ceremonial role, so most of the year this house actually serves as an officer's mess. Now, if you'd all like to just come in just a little touch, thanks, that's great, we'll continue. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the tour how the castle has come under siege many times during its history. And if we go back to 1314, we have what was known as the Randolph Siege, and this is where King Robert the Bruce recaptured Edinburgh Castle from English forces after the English had occupied it for over 20 years. Now, on recapturing the castle, one of Bruce's first instructions was that he wants everything here to be destroyed. Now, this is something that Bruce always done. Anytime he captured anything from the English, whether it be a town, a village or a castle, and even if it was based in Scotland, he would usually order its complete destruction. And his logic was, it was to make it less appealing or attractive for the English to want to bother to try and recapture. And it's a ploy that actually worked quite well for him. So this was done here. However, one building was spared, and this is the building here. And this is St Margaret's Chapel. This was built in the year 1130. This makes it by far the oldest building up here. In fact, this is actually the oldest building in the city of Edinburgh. So this was built during the reign of King David I of Scotland, and originally this was the lower part of a Norman tower. And this was built by King David I to commemorate his mother, Queen Margaret, who later after her death was canonised and became Saint Margaret. And this was used as a working Catholic chapel well into the 1500s. For some reason though, during the 1500s, we're not quite sure why, but the army here decided this would make a very good gunpowder. Everyone, probably the most important part of the castle, certainly the heart of the castle. This is where the early Stuart kings and queens resided during their time in power. I'd just like to talk about the building to the north of the square first of all, and this is a very important building in Scotland. This is the Scottish National War Memorial. Now, at the end of the First World War, almost 150,000 Scottish soldiers were killed, and it was decided that there should be a permanent memorial to these men. After a lot of debate, this is the building that was chosen. Now, you may not think it to look at it, but originally this was a soldier's barrack block dating from the 1700s. But in 1923, work began to convert it into what you see now. It took a total of 4 years, and the Scottish architect in charge, a man called Robert Lorimer, he had a team of around 200 artists and craftsmen to help him put the finishing touches to the building. Floor, all the fireplaces that you'll see, these are still the originals from the 1400 part of the palace. And the door at the bottom of the clock tower, this leads to the crown room. And in the crown room you'll find the honours of the kingdom, Scotland's crown jewels. And these are Britain's oldest surviving set of crown jewels. They comprise of 2 papal gifts to King James IV of Scotland, a sceptre and a sword. And the crown that you'll see in there dates from 1540. The first monarch to be crowned with that crown was Mary Queen of Scots. Unfortunately, she was unable to wear it as she was only 9 months old at the time. So during the ceremony, the crown was held above Mary's head, and by all accounts, poor Mary cried all the way through. I think she must have had a vision of what was to come in front of her during her life. The last king to wear the crown was King Charles II. He was crowned in 1651. But if we move forward to 1707, we'll have what is known as the Union of Parliaments. This is where England and Scotland become a united kingdom. And at that point, these Scottish crown jewels effectively become redundant because they're then replaced by a new set of British crown jewels, still used today by the current royal family. I'd just like to quickly add, what you'll see in there are the real items. These are not replicas or copies.
This is the Great Hall. So the whole functions and everything in here. All the swords and everything all around it. Look at that thing there. Wow. Where are we now, Andrew?
Great Hall, which was built for James the Fourth. For celebrations of his wedding and his dining. Great Hall.
Very good. I'm just amazed.
Here's Mary Louise, and I have welcomed you here for an audience with the Queen. You are most welcome. Now, let's make this a little bit more intimate. I am very well known for my relaxed attitude at court. That's it. Do gather in. Gather in. Gather in. Gather in. Not too close. I am still the Queen. Now, as I say, you are most welcome here today on this most glorious of days. Now, as you all know, the year is 1557, and today, my daughter, Mary, Queen of Scots, hello, sneaking in there at the front, young member of my court, lovely. Mary, Queen of Scots, will today marry the Dauphin of France at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris.